Starting in the southeast along the Florida peninsula, the forecast from the Miami office signals a quiet pattern where a broad mid-level ridge dominates while a low in the southern Gulf retrogrades southwestward. Over South Florida this morning, northeast to east winds remain breezy, associated with a tight surface high offshore and pressure gradient over the water. That onshore flow is contributing to elevated wave and rip current risk along the Atlantic coast. Skies are expected to stay generally VFR. Winds gusting into the 20 to 25 knot range are plausible near the coast, so plan accordingly for departures and arrivals. Inland, subsidence from the ridge will suppress convective development, leaving only isolated showers at best. Temperatures are running warm for the season, and given the moist subtropical air mass, heat indices could approach cautionary levels on heated ramps or sun-exposed surfaces. With the ridge holding, rain chances are minimal. However, the rich boundary layer moisture and coastline interactions mean brief sea breeze effects or inland cloud buildups cannot be entirely ruled out later today. Over Georgia and the Carolinas, the pattern is one of clearing and stabilization. In north and central Georgia, the recent upper low that brought showers is now moving east. A reinforcing surface high is building in, forcing low-level clouds and fog early this morning, especially in valleys and near terrain. Expect lifting, mixing late morning to disperse those clouds. By afternoon, the air mass should be dry, surface winds light from the northwest to north, and skies mostly sunny. Highs should climb into the 60s to low 70s region-wide. Aviation operations should watch for IFR or LIFR conditions this morning due to shallow stratus and mist. Once mixing begins, conditions improve quickly. In the Carolinas coastal plain and near the Appalachians, high pressure also dominates, so expect quiet weather with dry conditions and light winds. Across this corridor, the macroscale driver is the broad mid-level ridge and surface high in place following a trough exit. Classic drying after trough passages. Heading west toward the Gulf and lower Mississippi region, while I don't have full AFD text for every site, the larger pattern signals increasing moisture advection ahead of a trough lifting northeastward. Near Mobile and the central Gulf Coast, winds will turn to south-southeast this afternoon, bringing Gulf moisture inland. This sets up low-level convergence and modest instability. Though with ridging still dominating overhead, deep convection is unlikely. For aviation, this means increased cloud bases, possible MVFR ceilings tonight as the moisture builds, and perhaps scattered showers late. Expect little accumulation, but increased low cloud / visibility concerns. Across the northern U.S. and into the upper Midwest, the script is different. A strong mid-level trough digs into the region, hydrostatic ascent increases, and cold air advection dominates behind the system. We're seeing colder temperatures well below seasonal norms, with stratiform clouds and potential for mix or snow showers where moisture and lift intersect. For flight crews, the transition zones from rain to snow and the reduced ceilings in the wake of the trough may pose challenges. Mountainous terrain in particular will see enhanced lapse rates and mixing leading to turbulence and lower visibility. On the macro scale, this trough is carving northeastward, reinforcing the signal of early winter-type dynamics across the northern tier. Returning now to the big picture, we have an east-west temperature gradient tightening, driven by the amplitude of the upper wave and the strength of the ridge over the southeast and trough over the north. The subtropical moisture footprint remains locked into Florida and the Gulf Coast, while the mid-latitudes are drying. For airline routing and meteorology, the key takeaway is regions of stronger forcing and moisture overlap. Gulf and northern U.S. will drive the most dynamic conditions. The southeast ridge zones will be quiet but windy near coasts, and the Midwest/North will begin the cold transition. From a climatic perspective, Florida's early November heat is maintained by ridge-induced subsidence and residual tropical moist air mass, typical of late summer relics lingering into fall. Contrastingly, the northern trough is a seasonal signal of increased amplitude in November, introducing colder air and increasing frontal activity. Geography plays its part. Florida's peninsular location enhances sea breeze circulations and onshore gradients. The Gulf Coast is primed for moisture return, and the northern plains/Great Lakes region act as the corridor for trough passage and cold air surges. For pilots today, Southeast Florida operations, watch for gusty onshore winds, elevated seas, rip currents, good VFR inland but possible sea fog, and low clouds near coastlines. Mid-Atlantic, southeast inland. Early morning IFR, LIFR risk near low terrain, Saukak valleys, clearing by late morning, then smooth VFR afternoon. Temperature moderation but shallow boundary layer mixing. Gulf Coast, increasing moisture today, potential for low stratus and scattered showers tonight. Plan flights accordingly for more restricted ceilings. Northern U.S. Watch for low ceilings, snow-rain transitions, colder temperatures, possible mixed precipitation, and increased turbulence in mountainous terrain or near frontal zones. In summary, it's a day of contrasts. Quiet, stable ridging dominating the southeast and Florida. A building dry and mild high over Georgia. Moisture advection beginning along the Gulf. And a trough-driven cold transition in the north. Mechanistically, ridge suppression, trough lift, moisture return, and diurnal mixing all interplay. Geography ensures that coast-terra interactions matter in Florida and the Gulf, while elevation and frontal passage matter up north. Use this as your situational backdrop for today's operations and meteorological monitoring.